Story Slam.
We are here to celebrate the impact that is made by teachers, educators, people that facilitate these type of things through Teach for America. Of course, when you think of impact, you think change, you think influence, you think all of these things. It's what the librarian said when I was in grade school. Beating on my chest, beating on the desk, testing her patience in general, just acting a fool.
I dreamed of big changes, of resounding success, of that ever-elusive transformational change. I envisioned it looking like the videos.
I couldn't believe they called me. Daughter of red clay and peach trees, fled north of Mason-Dixon in search of degrees, diversity, whatever else was in store. But now, I was called to join the Corps. To return to the pit of the peach and nourish a nursery of seedlings.
See, like you, I teach. And I teach in a school that I feel is a place of beauty. I see it as my duty to help wise beings come through birth canals of mental elevation in spite of starvation the nation puts the youth through.
He didn't get like this overnight. He ain't gonna change overnight, Mr. Jones says, leaning on his mop. A statement from our custodian whose wisdom makes me stop.
She looked at me and rolled her eyes. I knew that look all too well. After all, I used to walk in her shoes. But now in a leadership role with a fancy title, I couldn't show her that I too had felt her pain.
Standing in room 104, I picked a peach pit off the floor. Kamaya turns as she says to me, "Oh, Miss Santiago, if you plant that seed, you can grow a city of trees." Indeed. After all, I was called to join the Corps.
What I learned was to appreciate the little things. To judge success and failure in small amounts.
As a poet twice removed and once before, I've learned that children, much like poets, hide their wisdom in metaphors. Fuzzy and sweet to conceal the seed that you only find if you choose to go deep into a city of trees.
My mind keeps drifting back to faces and places I'll see next week. Because in 5th hour, 4th row, 3rd seat, I'll see Brandon, LaShonda, Hasim and Cassandra, Kathy, Tron, and Patrice. And I pray they'll be dreaming themselves and seeing themselves as enlightened souls who can be themselves in ways this world can't seem to fathom.
But then, there was a rustle in the leaves in the back of the trees. Well, really it was Diamond, who always shook her beads before addressing me. "You mean like back in the day when they say we was kings and queens?" Yes, and then Amarius chimes in about Egyptians and Africans and how Martin Luther King is really Dr. King Jr.'s daddy, and that's why you can't leave the junior role.
Mrs. Hamilton was a 22-year veteran math teacher, middle school, no less. I'm sure she was thinking, "Girlfriend, how old are you?" And I'm sure I could teach you a thing or two.
How did I become the student when I came to teach? I mean, after all, I was called to join the Corps.
Because even with their parents working 2 jobs, nearly 50% of my kids are on free lunch, when all they really want is free minds. And that was the irony of legislation.
Let's assess what just is, because justice isn't selective, and justice won't be won by one person, classroom, decision, conversation, but a commitment to the slow and steady transformation.
Until those on the sidelines step into a room and walk in my shoes and see how the hearts of these children get steadily consumed by consumerism, classism, racism, sexism, I respectfully ask that they stop with this ivy tower criticism and put their hearts and their hands to use and start throwing more dollars at buildings, at schools where these children they crucify can learn to ascend.
The change may not be today, and it might not be in sight, but when it comes, and it will come, we'll say, he didn't get like this overnight.
Because from LA to Atlanta to the NYC, children like these will fulfill prophecy if from LA to Atlanta to the NYC, ones like we continue to stand up and help them fulfill their dreams.